Hello, I'm Lee Archimo of the STS-119 crew, and you're watching NASA TV.
Crew is now walking out of the operations and checkout building, where they'll enter the Astro van, which will carry them to the launch pad on launch pad 39A. We expect the crew to arrive at the launch pad white room in about 25 minutes. The Astro van is a modified 1980s RV that has bench seating and air conditioning hookups that hook into the orange launch and entry suits to keep the astronauts cool.
Here is a picture looking into the flight deck, and there's a bright spot there just because that's the sunshine. We have a very pretty sunny day here, and there is sun coming in through the windows of the orbiter. And here we see the commander climbing up, and he actually has to climb up into that seat and kind of wiggle around till he gets in the right spot so that he can get strapped in for a secure launch experience for him. The camera view we see now is now from the right side of the orbiter looking back towards the left. So we're seeing pilot Tony Antonelli crawl up into his seat with assistance from Ken Ham. And it looks like we just got the mid-deck strapping camera view. We have the mission specialists that are flying on the mid-deck are strapped in. And we see the view from the flight deck that mission specialist Steve Swanson has climbed into his seat, and now they'll begin strapping him in.
Discovery Launch Director.
Launch Director, go ahead for Discovery.
Okay, Brew, well, you had a little bit of a wait, but that'll just make the payoff that much sweeter. So on behalf of the KC launch and processing teams, good luck and Godspeed.
Thanks, Mike, and congratulations to you and the entire team for getting Discovery ready for a 36th mission. And, you know, it's truly an honor to be part of this team, representing all of NASA, our nation, and the international partners. Thanks for the work, Mike. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Take care, and let's go ahead and fire up the Zone of Freedom.
15.
12. 10.
CLS go for main engine start.
6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. And booster ignition liftoff from Space Shuttle Discovery, taking the space station to full power for full science.
This is Mission Control Houston.
Discovery roll program.
Roger, roll, Discovery.
Discovery's roll maneuver is complete. It is now in a heads-down position on track for its flight to the International Space Station. Discovery flying 365 miles per hour, 1.5 miles in altitude, 7 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center. Discovery's engines are throttling down as the orbiter passes through the area of maximum pressure on the vehicle.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
3 main engines on board are throttling back up. Now 1 minute, 12 seconds into the flight, Discovery flying at 1,800 miles per hour, 10 miles in altitude, and 11.5 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center. At liftoff, the fully fueled shuttle, boosters, and external tank weighed 4.5 million pounds. The total thrust at launch was 6,425,000 pounds. All systems continue to function well. 3 good main engines, 3 good power generating fuel cells, and 3 good auxiliary power units for the hydraulic system. We will now stand by for burnout and separation of the solid rocket boosters. Combined, the twin boosters provide 5.3 million pounds of thrust to propel the orbiter towards space. Discovery now flying 3,600 miles per hour, 32 miles in altitude, 43 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center.
We have some video taken today from cameras on board the International Space Station of the crew watching Discovery's launch while the International Space Station was orbiting over Tasmania. You can see in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, Flight Engineer Sandy Magnus with Mike Fink, commander of the Expedition 18 crew, in the center of the screen, and Flight Engineer 1, Yuri Lonchikov, floating along the top of the screen.
This is post-eco yesterday, down on the mid-deck. From there, I took the camera on up to the flight deck and had a look at the guys there, and there was smiles all around. Ricky managed to capture my best side, and then finally I turned around and looked at the camera. We were a little bit busy getting through the checklist. It seemed to happen a little bit faster up here than it does in the sim. Yeah, everyone did just great on their first day in orbit here, and we couldn't have been happier with the way everyone felt and how good we jumped into the post-insertion. It really went well. Okay, here we see the Ohms-Burn start, and in a few seconds, and we're changing the, this is the Ohms-Burn, and it was like as if I was in an earthquake in Tokyo.
We were real happy to be able to do this. I exchanged name tags for Tony, took his naval aviator wings and replaced them with naval astronaut aviator wings. So it was I was really honored to be able to do that little presentation for Tony. Now we've got the NC-1 burn lighting up at this point. So nice shot out the back window. If you look closely, you can see the tail start to glow red there.
Yeah, Tony and I are getting ready here to get the arm powered up and in config. We had a long day today, so last night, toward the end of our day, just checking it out, making sure everything's working properly. It was really nice to get our hands finally on that robotic arm, and it behaved just as advertised.
Here we are in the flight deck, Tony and I and Joe, and also Brewer, we worked, and also John helped on the computers, but they worked on the RMS work for the Flight Day 2 inspection. And here Brew is looking at the clearance. We have pretty good view from all the windows of the shuttle's cockpit, and he was helping us with the clearance monitoring during the Flight Day 2 inspection. That was my thinking pose there, and we do have a couple of scientific payload experiments that we're doing, so a couple of questionnaires that we have to fill out, and I'll pass back to Koichi. Okay, Tony on berth the boom, and here, and Tony and I are working to berth the OBSS on the starboard side of the orbiter. We thought Koichi was getting ready to berth that boom, but he had a couple more views of the survey. And here's Koichi and Tony working together near the end of the survey. Survey's over, and now they're getting ready to put that boom to bed for the night. And Koichi just did a spectacular job, assisted by Tony there. They knocked it down real quickly. Yeah, Ricky and I are working on the APDS system. That's a docking system we have on. We're getting it all ready for tomorrow's rendezvous. I think Brew is focusing in here on the docking ring that we powered up and extended and to get it in position for docking tomorrow, and then we went ahead and powered it down, and we'll bring it back up tomorrow. Looking forward to catching up with Mike and Sandy and Yuri tomorrow. Okay, near the end of the day, one of the last things we did today was perform that NC-3 burn, which was just using the RCS jets. Tony and myself knocked that out, and here's Tony running the checklist procedures for me, and also getting really a gorgeous shot. That picture doesn't do it justice what the sunrise was that you saw through Tony's window. You can tell a lot of the hand-eye coordination that goes into this burn, so you get hit the numbers right on the money.
Houston Station on 2.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike, on 2.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know we're tally-ho on the shuttle. We've never seen such a beautiful sight. It's awesome.
Very good news.
Just an absolutely the RPM and the eventual Torva and rendezvous. But really, the pictures or words can't do justice to what this beautiful site looks like as we get close. And here we are. I'm shooting the laser range finder, which is a backup range and closure rate indicator. We got our first hit about 2 miles out, and then it had good luck from that on in. Of course, Tony and Joe are continuing to run the procedures from the front cockpit. Brew and I are in the back. Brew's driving, and I'm providing the various sensor information.
Discovery Houston on the big loop. You are go for the RPM.
Alpha and Houston, Discovery's initiating the RPM. 2, 1, mark.
Discovery Houston on the big loop. You are go for docking.
Discovery copies, go for docking. Houston and Alpha, capture confirmed.
Discovery Houston on the big loop. Station free drift confirmed.
And on the big loop, Alpha sees that we're in free drift also. Welcome to the space station, Discovery. We're glad you're here. Thanks, Mike. Glad we're here also. Okay, we had a successful docking, and then time to open the hatches. Really, certainly the high point of the trip at this point. And looking across the hatch is our friendly space station crew, Expedition 18, and Mike Fink and company. So it was really great to see those folks on the other side of the hatch. So we popped the hatches open, then we had to do a little more reconfiguration with some of our Eclipse systems, and then time for the whole crew to climb aboard Space Station Alpha for the first time on this trip.
Space Shuttle Discovery arriving.
And you can see now that the hatches are open at 6:09 p.m. Central Time, while the shuttle and station were orbiting about 234 miles above the Southern Ocean, southeast of New Zealand.
And we shipped Koichi over, and Spanky put him right to work. And he's just finished up his evening, and as Bruce said earlier, he is having a well-deserved dinner.
You're watching live from the International Space Station as the station robotic arm being maneuvered in preparation for the unberthing of the starboard truss segment, the final piece to be added to the existing truss, and with it the new solar array wings.
And Houston and Discovery, we're on step 5, getting ready to work the grapple maneuver.
Sandy, we copy all. It's looking great so far, so thanks. Discovery copies. Okay, this is John, and me and Sandy are working on the S6 unberth, and we basically had to yank the 16-pound truss straight up out of the payload bay and kind of tilt it, spin it around, and hand it off to the shuttle arm. And all this is done at very slow rates in the robot arm. It's all kind of just a few inches of clearance to get out of the payload bay and get by the OBSS, and it's a pretty slow process. And while John was doing that, I was operating the shuttle cameras on the Discovery side over here to support John's robotic operations. John uses probably about 5 different views, 2 or 3 at any given time from shuttle cameras. So it was a real good coordination between John and the Discovery today, making sure we had good views for all this robotic operations, which were quite complex from the beginning of the day. All right, so John got the S6 out of the shuttle payload bay and turned it around and handed it to Joe and I. So now Joe and I get a crack at flying the shuttle's robotic arm with the S6 truss attached. Most of our modes ended up being automated, but so we spend most of our time watching the computer programmed robotic arm moves, making sure it's going just where it is. But it was still a big thrill to have the S6 truss on the shuttle robotic arm, and we're moving it over to the starboard side of the station so we can hand it back to John with the station's big robotic arm. And of course, tomorrow's our big day, going ahead and attaching the S6 truss. So here's Ricky and Swanee getting their suits ready. We did a complete tool configuration and audit, and just making sure everything's in place for tomorrow.
This is Ricky and me getting ready for a spacewalk today. We have to pre-breathe oxygen for a while, 70 minutes this morning to get the nitrogen out of our body. And here's John, looks like flying the arm.
Yeah, this is where we're setting up for the S6 install by moving the S6 truss, 16 tons of it, way out to the outboard end of S5 through a combination of robot arm modes. That's me driving with Koichi navigating, and we're getting ready for the EVA guys. And here's another picture of the S6 en route to the install position, which is where we needed to be when the EVA guys made it out to the truss.
Hey, Ricky, if you want to add a date there?
Working on it.
Slowly faster, man. Hey, you see the moon straight above? Hey, wait till you come out to see the spur.
I think it'll still be there.
Yeah, it's a nice view.
That's good work there, Ricky, and welcome to EVA. Copy, thanks, Joe.
Steve Swanson and Ricky Arnold now making their way to the starboard 5 truss segment, where they will then serve as an extra pair of eyes as they help with the alignment of the P6 truss, which will be at the end of the station, station robotic arm, and will be positioned.
Okay, John is ready to maneuver. If you guys are ready, we'll start the motion.
Copy. You ready, Ricky?
I'm ready.
Keep coming.
Gold pins are all the way in.
I concur.
Roger, Swanee, keep coming.
First contact.
Copy, first contact.
Pretty good alignment, though.
Yeah.
And Swanee and Ricky, please verify all the 4 alignment pins are within the alignment cuts.
Hey, firm.
I concur.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Teams on the ground are now reporting that the deployment of the S6 radiator is in work, as you can see in this view. And the radiator gets rid of heat generated by the systems on the S6 truss segment.
And here's Joe doing a lot of great work for 6 hours uninterrupted in the aft flight deck, just running the checklist, never missing a beat, and just providing great support for Swanee and Ricky.
Yeah, it was great working with those guys outside. They did a fantastic job, which made my job easier. It was just a fun time.
And here, again, the team effort, you can see Spanky assisting Tony to help get these guys in the airlock, and then the airlock repressurized, and then eventually open the hatch and get these guys back in. All-around team effort. Sandy's waiting there, and she's going to start doing the glove swab here in a couple of seconds.
Yeah, the glove swab that Sandy's doing there is actually science, and NASA's trying to figure out better ways to look for life in other places, and so they were going out there seeing what they tested S6 before we put it in the shuttle payload bay, and then it's been in space for a little bit, and these guys were the first guys to put their hands on it since it's been in space, and so we were swabbing their gloves and seeing what kind of stuff we found on those gloves, so we'll know what's just out there in space versus when we go looking for life in other places.
And Alpha Houston, on the big loop, you are go to send the deploy command.
Houston, John reports he's ready to send a deploy command. So on my mark, we'll deploy. Ready? ready, mark. Houston, we see good motion.
Houston copies.
Okay, the real meat and potatoes for today was to deploy our solar array wings that we installed on the truss that we installed yesterday. And so a team effort. John ran this show from the lab. We had all the guys except for Tony in the lab. Tony was back in the aft flight deck running shuttle video from there. And we got you a couple of minutes of this video that you may have seen earlier today as we deployed both solar array wings. They both came out very, very well. You never know what to expect after they've been canned up in the box for many years, and they came out very, very well, and we're all very happy. It was a good day.
Yeah, this is glacier payload swap out. Sandy and I worked on this change out of the glacier, which is a refrigerator for scientific samples, and I worked in the mid-deck side, and Sandy worked on the U.S. lab side.
Tony's doing a good job filling all these water bags for us. We're getting many of them, our little water pigs, and we have a nice water wall in the lab where we're keeping them, and we're going to overflow that, and we'll have to find another place to make a pond or a puddle or a wall of some kind. Every shuttle would keep giving us water until we get our water recycling system up to process urine. As a matter of fact, that's what I'm starting to get into here. There's a bunch of brackets across the water recycling racks, and Koichi is going to get to learn how to take those down and put them back. Once you've done it a few times, it's not so difficult, and you have to do that every time you get into those water recycling racks, and the distillation assembly, of course, is behind one of them, and that took a few hours today, not necessarily because of the stuff on the racks, but because of the bolts and things like that.
More transfer operations again. After the solar arrays were deployed today, we basically had about 3 or 4 hours of transfer ops going on for the majority of the crew members. And here you can see getting a handoff from, I believe it was maybe Ricky passing to me, and I'm going to shoot it over to John in the Columbus lab, and that's where he's going to go ahead and store a lot of our 5 MLE bags that we've had pre-positioned in the Columbus lab during this entire dock time frame. Got my first chance to exercise today, thanks to Tony and John fixing the ergometer, so I got a quick bike ride in between the solar array deploy and doing some transfer. And another workout session, this one on A-Red. We're very fortunate, some of us, to be able to use A-Red. It looks like it's going to be a phenomenal piece of workout gear, and I was happy to get some squats in today. It really is a tremendous exercise, and I thought I was doing well, and Koichi came over here, and he ratcheted up by about 3 times what I had, and he's just making it look so easy. This is just, most kids just envy the opportunity to do this, and we've had a 50-plus-year-old kid all day long just looking forward to this. I'll let you have him tell you all about it. Yeah, I was just so excited by the vernal equinox that I couldn't resist flying around and crashing into things. Hey, there we were this morning finishing up our camp out. One thing that surprised me about going out the door today is the long process that it takes. We actually started last night and then probably about 4 or 5 hours this morning, and it was definitely a team effort with Tony and the station crew members getting us in and out of the hatch and getting us where we need to go. So it was a great start to a day. Yeah, Sandy's driving the arm here, and we're repositioning for EVA2, which means you first have to bring it back from the SAW deploy point, which is outside the plane of the Sarge. So you bring it inside the plane of the Sarge, and then rotate the Sarge and bring it the rest of the way. And it's actually some of the trickiest arm flying because there's a lot of motion in the arm. Even though the arm's unloaded, it was actually kind of difficult, and it was at night, of course.
In view, the solar array wings of the International Space Station and also the robotic arm now in motion. They're positioning that in preparation for today's spacewalk activity. Steve Swanson and Joe Akaba will be egressing from the Quest airlock and making their way on the port or left truss segment of the International Space Station to begin their tasks.
And we can see here at camera Charlie that the hatch thermal cover is open, and so you are go to egress the crew lock. Ready.
In work.
This is a good view from Steve Swanson's helmet camera, as you can see, just making his way out of the crew lock of the Quest airlock.
And so you'll be getting ready, crew lock back 3, that'll be the one with the 285 footers on it to hand out to Swanee when he's ready for it.
Copy that, and work, thanks. And I got your left for both now. All right, all the all papers are good there, Ricky.
Great, Joe, great seeing you outside. Welcome to EVA.
Thank you.
All right, Swanee, with the safer checks, you're going to head on out to the P1, P3 tether swap location. That's Nader outboard near CP9.
Thank you very much. I'm on my way.
And Swanee, we lost sight of you. What's your location?
Go over the Sarge.
Hey, gotta get a gauntlet check from you, buddy.
Oh, sorry. Yes, gauntlets down and closed. They look good.
Great, thanks.
Thanks.
And Swanee, just from your memory, that 5226, is that the location where Joe is going to do his safety tether swap, or is he just going to pick it up there?
No, he's just going to pick it up there. He's going to go a little bit neater underneath to actually do his tether swap to keep it clear of the BGA.
Great, thanks, Swanee. He's going to go down to 5218. I just wasn't sure on the procedure here.
Right, and I'm trying to find 5226. Not popping up where I thought it was.
Yeah, if you leave it somewhere off.
Yeah, you know, when we tacked him back there yesterday, Joe's where I'm looking.
Okay, Swanee, I'm coming up on the Sarge, so I should be there shortly.
Okay.
A view from Steve Swanson's helmet camera as he and Joe Acaba are working about midway on the port truss segment. This is the deploy for the unpressurized cargo carrier attachment that's being taken out from the port truss and then ultimately attached to the exterior. It'll be used to store spare parts throughout the future of the space station.
If it got there, it seems like it won't come up anymore. They don't go either way anymore. But they don't understand that. Yeah, I don't understand why it won't come. Oh, there you go.
Are you offloaded at all?
Yeah, when you do that, Swan, let me try to unlock that. Okay. To get a better position. To get a loco on. I don't understand why it won't come up. Well, it's as far up as it goes. It won't go any higher right now. And I think it won't go down because, yeah, this is the red.
And Discovery Houston with some big picture words.
Did you put... Go ahead, Houston.
Hey, Ricky, see a couple things. First of all, unless you guys think you're going to be able to solve this within the next few minutes, what we would really like to do is press on to the next set of tasks, which is radiator imaging and the GPS antenna install, since they are higher priority items. That'll allow our guys to think through this some more and maybe come up with some better ideas for you.
This is a view of Steve Swanson on the end of the Kibo logistics module. And here's a view from Steve Swanson's helmet camera as he's working on top of that module. Again, he'll be installing the second of 2 GPS antennas that will be used to guide the Japanese H-2 transfer vehicle to the International Space Station when it makes its first voyage later this year, bringing supplies to the station.
All right, Joe, if you're ready for any big picture, I can just tell you you're going to be looking to focus this thing right kind of in the dead center of the radiator.
Doesn't work.
Okay, no rush.
Just trying to beat the glare on my right.
Copy.
Scoop is released, Ricky.
Say again, Swanee.
The scoop is released.
Fantastic. And you have it in the ORU bag on red?
AFM.
Mission Specialist Joe Acaba getting ready to redo some of the infrared photos that he took. And you can also see in this view the damage that prompted these photos, the peeled up corner of the panel in the top right hand corner of the view there.
Both the capture off the JLP, I'm looking now on The antenna itself, I'm doing the first cap of that.
So most of our, Brew and I were up on the flight deck kind of keeping track of what the guys were doing outside, and most of our views were on cameras. We didn't have a lot of out-the-window views, but that was one that we actually had. Back on the flight deck, keeping track of the procedures and just trying to keep up with the guys. They were doing an awful lot of work out there, and it was busy keeping track of all the stuff they were getting done. Yeah, we had a lot of changes today. Ricky just did a great job keeping us honest, making sure we came back with all our tools. So, Ricky, I think that was a good day. Okay, they spent the day outside working hard, and now we got them back in the airlock. We're getting the pressure back in the crew lock and bringing them back inside and welcoming them back inside. And it's always great to open up that hatch and see them. One thing that I think I've heard people say before, but wasn't so obvious, is the smell right when you open up that hatch. Space definitely has a smell that's different than anything else.
Yeah, after these long hours of EVA, they're still very fit and energetic, and I could also smell the space after I opened the hatch, and I hear they are coming in, Joe and Swanee, getting back to the equipment lock of the airlock.
The unsung heroes on these on a lot of these EVAs are the guys who get them suited up and get them out the door and bring them back in. So hats off to Tony, Mike, and Koichi. And here, very proud to congratulate both these guys for going out the door and getting a lot of good work done out there today. In the first part of the mission, we have been transferring nitrogen from the shuttle to the International Space Station, and today we terminated that N2 repress, and you can see Sandy and myself here in the on the shuttle side taking on the flow of the nitrogen. She's very happy to be coming home in a few days. Yeah, this is Koichi and John, and we're working at the robotics workstation, doing a short unloaded move of the arm, basically to get it out of the Sarge plane, if I remember right. All week long, Koichi's been John's M2, or sometimes they flip-flop roles M1 and M2, but Koichi's done some great robotic arm work for us.
Today, since we had some changes to the EVA, this is our EVA team on the ground now, and we're talking with them, having a little meeting discussing the changes to the EVA tomorrow and going over it, and so we can execute a great EVA tomorrow.
Yeah, Sandy and Koichi did a bunch of handover stuff today, and I know they did a lot of filter vacuuming and a lot of sort of general daily routine kind of handover. I'm not sure exactly what they're doing here. This is the Destiny laboratory, and here we are coordinating some more work with the urine processor that took up a lot of my day aboard the space station. But as you can see, things are inside looking good, and we're making sure the ground is getting a good inspection of it also. Pretty light day for at least for the shuttle crew. I know Mike was working very hard on the UPA, and Sandy and Koichi were doing a lot of work on a handover, but the shuttle crew had a light day. We had a few hours off. Swanee saying I did. He was doing all the work today on the EVA replanning. But and here you can see the guys still getting their tools ready for tomorrow's EVA.
Right now, Ricky and Joe are in the airlock getting ready for their camp out. So this is just before that. They're grabbing their sleeping bags and the food they need for the night, and they're heading on their way into the airlock to get ready to go spend the night there. We have to spend the night at a little lower pressure to try to help the nitrogen come out of our system. Here we're starting, getting ready for that, and also doing a procedure review tomorrow. We're talking about the whole task tomorrow, how it's going to operate, who's going to do what. And it took us a little while to go over this today, a little longer because of the new procedures, but it turned out really well, and everybody's well prepared.
Okay, we get Joe and Ricky in the airlock and drop the pressure down, back down to 10-2 and start loading them in their suits. And you can see folks videotaping us on the outside of the airlock. And as we get those two guys through the process of getting them dressed up and getting them ready to go out the door.
This is after they have their suits on. They can go ahead and repress the airlock back to the normal atmosphere. And then so they have their helmets on, and they're doing what they call a purge. That's getting all the nitrogen actually out of the suit. So the suit will then be 100% oxygen. So when they go down to 4.3 psi in the suits when they're outside, I think that's around 35,000 feet if I'm correct in that. So you need 100% oxygen just to live out there.
Okay, well, those guys are just getting ready to come out the door for EVA number 3. Swanee and I just had a small little arm operation here. We had to take the shuttle arm and move it to a shoulder yaw to about 160 so that we can provide good viewing for our seated cart operations later on in the EVA.
And hatch is open at nighttime, and here I come. I'm going to get out of the hatch and get myself squared away, and then hook up Joe's safety tether and tell him to come on out. And you can see Joe's feet coming on out of the hatch as well.
Yeah, today it was my job to be the IV or the choreographer, whatever you want to call that job. And I heard the quarterback's a better term. Yeah, we'll go with that. But whatever you want to call it, that was my job today, and they did so great outside. It made my job easy.
Keep it coming, Ricky. Got it. Got it. Very good work. Yep. Okay, I see. Black on black. Good, pull, and twist. Sure, Ricky? You release your rep, that'd be great.
Today we used a big arm to support the EVA, and we put, John and I were operating the robotic arm, and the task that we did first was the seater cart relocation. Joe was at the tip of the robotic arm holding a big seater cart, and we moved him up and down like 10 meters, 13 meters, 6 meters, and it was a big move. And the big arm was very stable, and it was really fun to operate a very nice robotic arm. Here's the robotics workstation in the laboratory, and John and I operated the robotic arm. Here I'm at the control of the hand controllers, flying Joe at the tip of the robotic arm with a seater cart.
Yeah, being on the end of the arm was pretty simple when you had that smooth operator Koichi there. When he started that thing up, I couldn't even tell I was moving unless I was looking at the station for a frame of reference. It was very easy going, and he did a great job getting me from the starboard side over to the port side, or vice versa. Here are Joe and I out with our second task, working on a UCAS. We got it started on the last EVA, and today we tried to do a little troubleshooting to figure out why we couldn't get it completely deployed. We learned a lot about it today, and we just got it in a stable config so the good folks on the ground can figure out a good resolution for this for future crew. And then we are at the end of the day. Feels really good to get out of the suit after being in it probably for maybe close to 10 hours by the time you start in the morning. So it was a great end to the day.
Discovery International Space Station, the President of the United States.
Hello, Commander. Can you hear us? Oh, I got it.
President, welcome aboard the International Space Station, where we're joined with our international crew from the Space Shuttle Discovery. Welcome aboard. Glad to hear your voice. We hear you loud and clear, sir.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. We've got a crew of wonderful school children here who are all interested in space, and we've got some members of Congress who are like big kids when it comes to talking to astronauts. I'm told that you're cruising at about 17,000 miles per hour, so we're glad that you are using the hands-free phone.
Mr. President, we go around the planet once every 90 minutes. It's quite a thrill, and it is very fast, and we see 16 sunrises and 16 sunsets every day.
That is unbelievable. Well, the first thing we want to do is just let you know how proud we are of you. I've got to say, especially once I found out that you're from Bellwood, Illinois.
President, it was a beautiful place to grow up, and I have a lot of roots that are still there.
Well, obviously, we're really proud about the extraordinary work that our American astronauts are doing. You know, you are a representative of the dedication and sense of adventure and discovery that we're so proud of. But one of the things that's wonderful about this is that it is an international space station, and I know that we have our Japanese and Russian counterparts on board as well. We'd love to say hello to them and hope that that this is an example of the kind of spirit of cooperation that we can apply not just in space but here on the ground as well.
Yeah, it's an honor to have a chance to talk with you, Mr. President. We have a Russian crew member, American crew member, and I'm from Japan, and we have 15 countries working together in this wonderful project, National Space Station, as well as on the ground in space, and this really symbolizes the future of the scientific development of the world, and I'm just happy to be part of this.
That's wonderful.
Mr. President, we work together to everything. It's really, really important for us. And American, Russian, Japanese, Italian, and to everybody, all people work in the space for peace.
The space station has a tradition to thank and to thank the crews that come visit us, all the visiting vehicles, including Soyuzes and things like that. But today was a really special day to commemorate STS-119 and the completion of a successful mission. And this is almost the last chance we had to allow them to leave their mark, not just the solar trusses outside, but to commemorate it on the inside. And Expedition 18 is grateful to this great crew.
So as tradition would have it, Mike gave me the honor of, on behalf of the crew, making our patch permanent here on the International Space Station in the Node 1 right next to the A-Red. We're going to get a little shot of all the guys getting a chance to touch and point to their patch. And even though Koichi is now a member of Expedition 18, he launched as a member of STS-119, so he's definitely part of that patch and always will be.
Another tradition went to do EVAs out of the airlock is to put up the patch in the airlock, and so we had a little ceremony for that too. And I was fortunate enough to get to put the patch up on this one, and it was a great feeling.
Hats off to everybody on the ground who supported the EVAs. Of course, these missions are all about the EVAs and what we can get done out there, and we had a lot of great help on the ground, as we always do. We had some folks replanning an EVA overnight. We know the work went in, and a lot of sweat and blood went into those replanning, and we appreciate that very much.
We also took the time to commemorate the Expedition 18. It's coming near the end of our mission, and so we had some really special guests. Yuri and I and Sandy waited for Koichi to get here to commemorate the accomplishments we had, along with Greg Shamatov at the beginning of our mission. We had 2 spacewalks. We've got to see and got the space station ready for 6-person crew, and we've had a great time working with the ground. We've also done twice the amount of science originally planned. We were able to accomplish quite a bit, and like Bruce says, we couldn't have done it without the ground, and we sure enjoyed working with y'all.
Yes, as Mike said, we got a lot done. It's been a very memorable time up here, and I guess I'm leaving personally with a sense of satisfaction that we did get so much done, but I think the best part of the whole mission was working with people from all over the world towards this common goal of getting the station up and running and ready for 6 people, and for that, I just want to thank everyone for such a beautiful experience.
Yes, I am just happy to be here, and finally I joined the Expedition 18 crew, and a little bit sad that Sandy's leaving, and I'll be saying goodbye to the 119 crew. That's kind of like a sad feeling, but my mission just started, and I'm just looking forward to working with Yuri and Mike.
So with that, Houston, this is our last night on Space Station, and with mixed feelings, we leave our host tomorrow. But we, again, leave with a sense of accomplishment. We're proud to have been part of STS-119 and also have proud to have been partners with Expedition 18. It's been a great dock time frame, and we look forward to what's next.
Well, Brew, I'd like to say thanks to you and your crew for an outstanding mission. You made the space station much better than it was before. You gave us more power, symmetry, which is not to be underrated, and you gave us a new crew member. You're giving Sandy a ride back home. You brought up some equipment that we really needed for a 6-person crew, and that's what we were really hoping to get done with Expedition 18, was getting ready for a 6-person crew. And Sandy, the 6-person crew, when they get up here, they're going to be thanking you for all your organization, all your hard work, the things that you build on board. You've done an outstanding job, and I'd like to say thank you. So all of you guys, this is the toughest part of the mission, at least for me. This is, on one hand, it's a moment of triumph. You're going to shut the hatches and get ready and undock. And yet, on the other hand, we're going to really be missing you. Well, it was really great having you up here, and all the things we got to talk about and do together. I mean, that's what the dreams in our lives are made of. So thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Spank. Thank you very much. On behalf of our crew, the STS-119 crew, which now includes Sandy, we are very, very appreciative for the hospitality you all extended to us. You were very well prepared for us. You were happy to help us where we needed help, and you were key and instrumental in getting 3 good EVAs out the door and back in safely. We're very proud to have left the space station with more power, hopefully power that for many, many years will provide very, very useful research to your future payloads. We're most proud, though, of working with a great international team, which we have 3 countries represented here. Our country, the United States, Yuri's country, Russia, and Koichi's country of Japan. Yuri, yeah, you're welcome. Many of us didn't know you very well before we got here, but you're a great crewmate. We all would be very proud to work long duration with you, Yuri. Thank you very much for welcoming us in and being such a great crew partner. And Koich, it's going to be tough to leave you, but you're a great member of STS-119. I'm very, very proud that you're with us. You're on our patch. Like I say, you're always going to be a member of STS-119. You've done a lot of great work for us, and I wish you the very best. And we do look forward to seeing you back home in Houston when your expedition is over. Spank, you're an awesome commander. Best of luck. You got just another couple of weeks here. Have happy travels, and let's get together when you get back. Thank you very much.
Okay, after the farewells, it was time to then break down the connections in between the orbiter and the International Space Station. Here's the Anaconda duct, as we call it, the mid-deck duct, and we had to pull that out. This is a duct that actually sucks the CO2 out of, or the air out of the orbiter and brings it back in towards the seizure for processing. Well, we're getting set up here to close the ODS hatch. Of course, there's 3 hatches that have to be closed. Working from the shuttle outward, it's the ODS hatch, the APAS hatch, androgynous peripheral attach system, that's APAS, and then the node 2 forward hatch between the node 2 and the PMA. And here's the station guys with Mike with a very manly wrench working to attach the docking target standoff cross to the hatch of the PMA, the APAS hatch. And here we are saying our final goodbyes through the hatch. And you can see the docking lights there that we've just set up as well. And here's Brew closing the ODS hatch from the shuttle side. And we can still see them through the porthole in the hatch there, but basically we're separate at this point. Physical separation. Houston and Alpha, physical separation. Alpha copies. Space Shuttle Discovery departing. And Discovery Alpha, Godspeed. Thanks for making us symmetrical, giving us full power, and all the other wonderful things you did for us. You did a great work. Come again. Thanks for the great work as well, Alpha. Have a good one. We'll see you on the ground in about a month.
Discovery's cargo bay much emptier than when it arrived at the International Space Station, carrying, of course, the final set of solar array wings for the station's truss. Those were installed on Discovery's Flight Day 5 by spacewalkers Steve Swanson and Ricky Arnold, and then unfurled the next day. And this fly around is in part to gather the first video footage of the station with those unfolded, giving the International Space Station a symmetrical appearance for the first time.
Views of Discovery now as it approaches the Kennedy Space Center from the southwest, approaching the imaginary heading alignment cone or cylinder. Twin sonic booms announcing Discovery's arrival into landing site.
Runway's in sight.
Discovery copy, runway in sight.
About 1 minute to touchdown. Altitude 5,800 feet. Main landing gear is down. Main gear touchdown. and nose gear touchdown. Space Shuttle Discovery is rolling out on runway 15 at the Kennedy Space Center, completing 202 orbits of the Earth while traveling 5,304,000 miles. This landing marks the 70th shuttle mission to end at KSC. Discovery spent 8 days docked to the International Space Station, leaving behind the first Japanese long-duration crew member and also leaving it more power capability, setting the stage for an increase to 6-person crew in late May. Sandy Magnus, mission specialist, now aboard Discovery, home after 134 days in space, 129 of those aboard the International Space Station. Discovery is completing the 36th voyage of its life and the 125th Space Shuttle mission in the history of the program.
Houston Discovery, wheel stop.
Houston copies, wheel stop. Welcome home, Discovery, after a great mission to bring the International Space Station to full power. Special welcome home to Sandy after living and working on board ISS as a member of Expedition 18, and to the entire crew of STS-119. Great job, everybody.
Discovery, thank you very much. It's good to be back home.
Hi, I'm Lee Archibald from the STS-119 crew, and we're very happy to be back here in Florida. We want to certainly thank all the people at the Kennedy Space Center for, number one, getting Discovery ready for launch, fighting through some technical issues before we launched, but they got us ready and they got us launched safely. We had a very successful mission. We're very proud that we were able to bring up the S6 Truss, the final power segment for the International Space Station, and we're very, very happy we were able to bring Discovery right back here to the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. So to everyone at the Kennedy Space Center, thank you very much for the great job leading up to the launch, and thank you very much for coming out here today. Take care.